All right, so what this is we, according to our bylaws, we do need to have an annual congregational meeting. We do that in January every year. Thank you for being here on this increasingly hazardous day. We'll get you out of here as quickly as we can. I know the storm's coming, but thanks for prioritizing this. And we are going to be, we recognize a lot of people couldn't be here this morning, so we're recording it, and that will be sent out through a church email this week. For those who couldn't be here, or if you want to just go back and review it. So we do an annual congregational meeting, and the purpose is twofold. We just need to update you on the statistics of the church, and then maybe just highlight a couple things for the upcoming year for you to be aware of. So that's what this is. I'm going to handle the membership numbers, and then I'll bring Bobby up to do the finances. But let's turn to our membership. So 2020, 2021, you will see, and this is significant. Again, as I prayed, there are many churches, sadly, who are losing members or don't know where members are during this COVID, and we celebrate that the Lord grew us this year. So we had 10 profession of faith, so that would be somebody joining our church as a newly confessing, converted Christian. We had 6 transfer letters. That would mean somebody is joining our church coming from another church, and we received a letter of membership transfer. And then we had 34 reaffirmations of faith. That would be somebody who's coming to us who is a Christian, not making their first profession of faith, but they're not coming to us from another church membership. And we celebrate professions of faith and reaffirmations of faith. That's what we love to see. We certainly welcome anybody from other congregations. We're not trying to, we wouldn't push anybody away, but we really get excited when people are coming to us, either converted or not from another local congregation. So in total, that would be 50 additions. We had 43 losses this year. If you look at 2020, you'll see 94 losses. That's reflecting the fact that we actually cleaned up our rolls finally that year. And what I mean by that is we went through the entire membership roll and we said, is this person really still at our church, active and involved? If not, reached out to them, said, hey, are you going to another church? Can we send your membership letter somewhere and whatnot? And so the reason why that's good is we just don't want to be the church. This is classic church where you say, we've got all these members, but, nobody's really coming and we don't know where they are. We really want to know if you're a member of our church. We want to know that you're a member of our church. We want to know that you're active in our church. And so we cleaned up our rolls in 2020, and that's why you see the 94 losses. And then you see 43 losses this year. And what's excited about that is predominantly our church plant. So that's a really good loss. That's not loss, that's a gain. We multiplied this year, which is really exciting. Okay, so what that means in total is where we currently stand in 2021, we have 934 communicant members. That would be those who have made a profession of faith, participate in communion, full members of the church, and then 154 non-communicant members. Those would be the children of our church that have been baptized and we view as members, but they are not communicant members, for a total of 1,088 in total membership currently. That on top of, we have about, I think the number, I got it recently, I think the number is 340 regular attenders. So 1088 in membership, 350-ish regular attenders who come here and they're part of what we're doing and they're at worship and parish groups and whatnot, but they have not, for whatever reason, decided to go ahead and join the church. 406 total family units. The big thing I want to celebrate here is you will see in 2020, after cleaning up the rolls, we are at 1,084 in membership. In 2021, we're at 1,088 membership. So we grew by 4 and planted a church, which is very, very exciting. It took 6 months for us to replace the membership that we planted with and replace the giving that is now supporting that church in Richmond. So just unbelievable, especially considering what's going on in our world right now. We are very, very thankful. Baptisms, 22 baptisms in 2021. Again, the baptisms are down in both 2020 and 2021 because of COVID. That's across the board. In-person worship, baptisms, things like that get affected. And then the weekly attendance, You will see 162 in Sunday school, average of 462 in worship. It's great to see that's up from 60 from 2020. Goes without saying, this does not include our online viewership, which when you look at the downloads and views of our worship service, it's pretty significant, especially when you know that one view could typically mean a household viewing, 4 or 5 people viewing. So members attendance in person and online is holding very, very strong. It's very encouraging to be near 500 in person. I would just say, I know Omicron is raging right now. We have this just ever-growing list of people in our church with Omicron. I would just say on the other side of this surge, and I've been told by those who know more than me that it surged quickly and it'll decline quickly. We would love, I'm preaching to the choir here because you're here, but we would love for everyone to come back to in-person worship. If you are comfortable going to Walmart or basketball games or whatever, we hope you would be comfortable enough to come back to worship. For those who can't and are not ready, we totally understand that. Okay, that's our weekly attendance, and that's it for the membership statistics. I'll hand it over to Bobby, and Bobby, you can go through the finances.
All right. This is, during this time of the congregational meeting, this is big picture finances. Over the next coming weeks, we will update the website. We do that every year at this time. We will update it with the details of what I'm sharing with you, so don't feel like you have to catch all this. It'll be updated on the website. And then anytime you have a question about the finances, feel free to email me. Or the finance committee meets every month and reviews all the finances. So any comments, questions that you have, we'd be happy to hear from you. During this time of the congregational meeting, we cover the giving of 2021, the expenses of 2021, how we finished the fiscal year, and then where are we headed, what is to come in this next year. This really, as we look at these numbers, just for those who are not clear, our fiscal year is October 1st through September, end of September. So these first section of the giving report is October 1st, 2020 to September 2021. And overall, financially, we had a phenomenal year. So just thank the Lord. As Robert said, many churches are struggling, and these reports are going to show you just the faith of our people and continuing to accomplish the vision that we've set forth here that God has called us to do. And so you'll see on this first slide, this is just looking at giving in 2021, or compared to 2020, our giving was up 4%. We did a little over 2.4 million. One of the significant numbers here is the next slide, or the next part of designated giving. It was up 113%. So that's our missions, that's our Next Step campaign, that's mercy giving. All the other contributions above just general tithe was $678,000. So just a phenomenal increase there. So it brought our total giving up 17% at $3.1 million. That was the giving for 2021. On the expense side, the expenses we're always managing and trying to keep them ideally right behind giving, just so that we can have cash flow. And so you see on this, our expenses for 2021, we had a budget of $2.5 million, and the actual expenses were almost $2.3 million. So we did have a net income of $140,000. This was significant for this year. If you remember, we had some pretty significant roof leaks, repairs that needed to take place to our Narthex area offices. So we were able to accomplish that whole repair with this overage. We were also able to replace a chiller this past year, which is $100,000. So there were some significant facility updates that we were able to make, along with some mission projects that we had not completed, and some mercy needs. So all of that in net income, the Finance Committee decided to go ahead and take care of those long-term needs so that they would be taken care of as we move forward. The next slide, you'll see, so that's where we finished the year. We had a great fiscal year, finished ahead. We were able to take care of some needed repairs. And where are we headed this year? This is the current budget for 2021, 2022. It began August 1st. For those that have been around for a few years, we've been continuing to work towards a $2.9 million budget. That's what we've continued to share about ministries that we want to start, staffing needs that we have. And so, but we understand that's going to take several years to get there. And so what you see here is our unrestricted tithe goal that the Finance Committee set and was approved by the diaconate in session is almost 2.6 million. That's what we're praying and tracking on. That's the number that you'll see in the bulletin of what we are hoping general tithe will reach. The next step funds, that's designated money that we've already raised that will offset the budget on expenses, and that gives us our $2.9 million budget. So over the next 3 years, the unrestricted tithe will continue to increase, and we will continue to rely on the next step funds less and less. That's how the Finance Committee has mapped it out over the next 3 years. Again, if you have more questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them, and all this will be on the website in the coming weeks. So down below our expenses, the main thing to look at here in this meeting, and you can go to the website later, is the breakdown of the 2.9 million. It's basically 10% go to children and youth budget, 14% to church life, which is Sunday school, women's ministry, men's ministry, diaconal 20%, which covers our facility upkeep and everything that takes place for us to have worship here and ministry functions. The discipleship and outreach is 9%. Missions is at 16%, which is our foreign missions, our mission partners, our monthly missionaries that we support, and then along with RUF, campus outreach, and presbytery giving. So all of that makes up 16% of our missions budget. Operations at 15%, and then worship at 15%. So that's just a general breakdown when you take all of our compensation, all of our benefits, all the ministry functions and costs, and break them down in the areas that we focus on in ministry. That's a breakdown. There will be a more thorough breakdown at each of these categories on the website, and so we'll direct you to there once that is up and running. But that is our budget for 2021, 2022. And so where are we through first quarter? Well, again, as Robert has said, we have so much to be thankful for, and again, a significant and record first quarter of giving. Our total giving for first quarter was almost 900,000. So over budget, we're 72,000 over budget to this point through the year. Expenses currently are 587,000. And so we do have a current net income of 300,000. And so, again, that's just significant for us through first quarter. We were praying that we would hit our $820,000 budget this year, which was a significant increase over last year's budget, and we surpassed it. And so one of the exciting things, that just allows us to begin to really release funds, plan for ministry. One of the significant things here that we need to do, if you've ever sat in these first few pews, is a lot of updates to the sanctuary. And so with this first quarter giving and record, we're able to begin to move forward with some significant ministries in this coming year. And so now I'm going to turn it back over to Robert for you to hear about those ministry updates, and because of this giving, what we're able to step out and do.
Let me just say, I casually said Bobby's going to come up. I want to make sure everybody knows who Bobby is. Bobby is our church administrator, and he does an incredible job at keeping us in line and fiscally responsible and administering the church. He's just a gift to us. If you do have any questions about the finances of the church, the budget of the church, about your own giving, he's the person. That's the one area where I'd say don't go to a pastor, go to Bobby. If you want to talk about your heart and giving and your generosity, come talk to us. But if you want to talk about logistics, go to Bobby. Yes, he's stopping me. See, this is what Bobby does. He keeps us in control. What?
I got so excited about the numbers. If
say it in the microphone here.
For the giving statements this year, if you would like a printed or emailed copy, then please email office@tcpca.org. Otherwise, go to the website, tcpca.org. At the top, there's a login button. That is our touch point system. That's where your giving statement is. They will be finalized next week. But that is where you can always look at your giving, update your email, update your contact information. If that does not work for you, or you do not want to access your information that way, then please email us and we will get a statement sent out to you.
Okay, great. And then I would just add to what Bobby said about the sanctuary updates. Again, with the Next Step campaign with being so successful, with your giving so successful, we do feel very comfortable moving forward with much needed upgrades to the sanctuary this year that we're really excited about. He mentioned we're going to redo the covering on the pews. You might be sitting around some foam right now. We're going to the carpet, the painting, all the cosmetic stuff. But the two things that I'm really excited about is the lighting in here, and much more excited about the acoustics in here. Our sanctuary is one of the best in the city for musical performances. It's an incredible facility for music. It's always struggled hearing me. You might be struggling hearing me right now. One of the big things we're going to do acoustically is make sure that you can hear the speaking going on in here. That's historically been the problem. So a lot of those upgrades are coming both to the sanctuary and to the narthex this year, which we're really excited about. Okay, let's get to some highlights here. There's so much. There's so much that we could share. There's just so much exciting stuff going on, but there's a couple that we felt like we wanted to highlight with you. The first is our new hire. Let me frame this. For a long time, you've probably heard us talk about this. Maybe if you're a parent with young children, you have felt this, but the Lord has entrusted to us an amazing opportunity to raise up the next generation. The amount of children in this church is overwhelming, and we bless God for that, but we also recognize that we have got to give some real attention on a staff level to focusing on all things children's ministry. And the Lord dropped the person I think could not be more perfect for this position in our lap. And we are really, really excited to introduce her to you and let you hear a little bit from her. So, Nicole, why don't you come on up? And I'm just going to ask a few questions here that I'd love for them to hear from you. Just first, I'd say, tell them about you, your background in this position, all that.
Great. Yes, I'm Nicole Dorton, and my background, I have a bachelor's degree in child and family development. I went to the University of Georgia, and we're still really celebrating our big win this week. I decided to wear my Georgia red pants again today, just to stretch it out as long as possible. So, go Dogs. And so I was at Georgia for my undergrad and for grad school. I did bachelor's in child and family development, and then stuck around and got my master's in special education. After that, moved to Atlanta and taught inclusion special education for a number of years, and really just had a great opportunity to work with kids with a variety of needs, work with parents a lot, and then also use that when met my husband Will in Atlanta. And then for a job for him, we moved to Washington, D.C. And while we were there, I started my own business working with kids with dyslexia, reading disabilities, and that was a great chance to work with kids, but also really partner with parents. So just realized a lot of children's ministry stuff is working with kids, but it's also really working with parents, that you guys are the primary teachers and the primary people in your kids' life. So that was a good opportunity. And my husband and I is actually from Lexington. Some of you might know him here. And we never thought we would be back in Lexington, but a job came up for him here about 4 years ago. And God just really wanted us to be here. And now I'm so excited to be able to be here and be in this role. And I think it's going to be great.
Right. Why don't you just tell us, maybe just give them a quick vision for the children's ministry at TCPC, why you're excited, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So one of the first things I said to Robert and when I met with him talking about this is, I want kids to love to come to church. You know, you hear so many adults' testimonies, and they often start with, oh, I went to church as a kid, but I hated it. Or, oh, my parents forced me, and it was just, you know. I want Sundays to be a highlight of the week for our kids. I want them to come and have wonderful programming that is like perfectly designed for them with curriculum that can really meet their needs, but then also to find ways to foster relationships among kids. You know, I come to church and I love it because I get to worship God, but also I get to see my friends, you know, and catch up, and our kids are the same way. So I want our kids' best friends to be here at church and to have them love coming to the nursery and be loved on, or come to Sunday school and get to be taught by wonderful teachers and really develop relationships with other kids and have fun.
Awesome. And then just lastly, just how can we help you? How can we support you?
Yes. So as Robert said, we have a lot of kids and we have a lot of great things that we can do for them, but we really need you. I think you saw my little desperate plea for volunteers in the latest bulletin, and we're going to keep pleading with you. There's lots of ways to serve, and you don't have to be perfect with kids to serve. It's okay. We can train you, and part of my job that I'm really excited about is to recruit new people, but also train new volunteers and equip you to serve our kids. So that could be in the nursery, it could be during gospel story time, it could be a Sunday school teacher or Sunday school sub. There's lots of opportunities, and my goal right now, I told Women's Bible Study Group this week this, and I think this stands true. We've had a core group that's been really committed, but frankly, it's kind of too much. And sometimes those people, they're asked to serve like once a month. And for a lot of people, that can be too much. So I think they're a little afraid to put their name down. So I'm going to tell you, don't be afraid to put your name down. I can put you down as much or as little as you want. And the, old saying of many hands make light work is true. And so if we can really boost our numbers, I think that we can help serve our volunteers too by not overworking certain people. So yes, we need you as volunteers, big time.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. We're really excited. Let me. One of the things I love about Nicole is that she is a go-getter in the sense that she is not scared to ask for what she needs and go after volunteers and all that, and that includes me. And so she said, I really need your help in getting our church mobilized in volunteering for the children's ministry. So allow me to do that now. This is the announcement that's in there. We need a significant number of additional volunteers to successfully run our nursery. This is just the nursery. We have 41 volunteers. 41, and I just did a slide that we have 1,000 and whatever members. 41 volunteers. We need 110 plus in order to have a full rotation for both services and Sunday school. You take vows, every child that we baptize, that you're going to come alongside those parents, and you are going to help them in discipling their children. Nothing is more basic to that than I will be a volunteer in the children's ministries of our church. We can get this thing to where you essentially say, I got one Sunday a year. This is my Sunday, and I will be there, and I will gladly serve. That's the level of volunteers that we're going to be looking for. So just be forewarned with Nicole. She's good at that. Either you'll volunteer in the children's ministry or you'll have to say no to volunteering in the children's ministry. One way or another, we want to challenge everyone to get going and help. This whole thing runs on volunteer help. So grateful for you, Nicole, and looking forward to see what the Lord's going to do through your ministry. All right, Covenant Community Church. Obviously, one of the things we want to highlight is we planted a new church recently. And I'm going to hand it over to Will, who is really the architect of the Bluegrass Network, which is our church planting network. Will really runs that. So I'm going to hand that over to him, and then he'll update you with Travis.
Okay, Will Witherington, pastor of the Ministries in Expansion. I do want to just show you the slide of our good Bluegrass Network. We've said that Bluegrass Network is a collaborative movement of churches, planting churches in the Bluegrass and developing the future leaders there. You can see 5 churches there. Quick update on those. Cynthiana Church up in Cynthiana. Their pastor took a different call in Pennsylvania, so they need to pray that they have a pastor. The Grace Church in Danville, sister church there, is doing great, where Mark and I both have daughters that are benefiting from that ministry there. Hope Presbyterian downtown, where Marshall and Justin and Jared and the group there doing great. And then Richmond Church Plant, which I'll introduce Travis in a second. He'll give you an update on that. And we are, you still have the guys, Mac Holt, Jared McLean, Luke Rakestraw, who've all graduated from seminary, are now in our various churches serving in various capacities. And so just so you can pray that God would give those guys clarity on where they're going to go, if it stays in one of the existing churches or launches to a new. We've kind of got the risk board out, where Lord, where would you like us to go next? And so there's lots of options there. We get lots of requests from people. You've heard me say this before. We've turned our eye and ear towards Eastern Kentucky, particularly Eastern Kentucky towns with universities in them, and that's where we want to plant churches. And so we have a lot of opportunity there. Before Travis goes, I do want to say one last thing on the Bluegrass Network. I just came back from 5 days in Orlando with Kelly Holt and Trey Gross and Tim Green and some other guys that are in a regular seminary. But we went down to take a faith and work course. And you need to know that there is a lot going on in the broader PCA, but particularly in our congregation, about starting a Faith and Work Institute here in Lexington. And you'll hear more about that in the coming months. I would put on your radar at the end of April, we've got 2 of the RTS leaders coming here to collaborate with us to lay out a track of where you as a lay man or woman can receive seminary level training in the Faith and Work realm. A lot more to come on this. If you want to get a dose of what happened, just pull Kelly Holt aside. He will wear you out about what God did there. But just want you to pray about this. This is really exciting, that we're going to be able to do some intentional and strategic training of our men and women who'd have other jobs day in and day out, week in and week out, that are serving Christ on the front lines in all the different sectors of our city. So looking forward to that. Now, Travis Stevens, who's one of our pastors down there at the Richmond Church Plant, is going to come up and give just a brief update on what God's been doing the last 4 months down there in Richmond. Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks. Excited to be here with you all this morning to give you a little brief update about how things are going at our church in Richmond. We started with 20 families that were a part of our launch team, and a lot of those families were from this congregation. In fact, there was a parish that was meeting previous to this, and from that parish, there was a lot of energy toward this church plant in Richmond. And we started on August 22nd, and we've been steadily growing. We've been seeing college students come to our church, lots of young new families that have joined, and we've got 5 neighborhood groups right now. Each neighborhood group has about 10 or 15 people, so there's 53 adults, but there's also 37 children with 3 more on the way. So we're definitely a young church with a lot of young kids, which has posed some issues, but also has been a lot of fun to do. When we did our installation service, there was some works for us to find a site to worship, and that site actually fell through. And so we had reached out to a local middle school that's right there positioned between downtown and EKU, which is where a lot of our families live. We've actually got 14 families that live within a 1.5 mile radius of that school. And so I emailed the principal at Madison Middle School. She was a believer. She was really excited about us partnering with them. I had no intention of us actually meeting in that space, but because the other door sort of shut, we were able to meet there on Sunday morning. So that's where we've been meeting this fall, these last 4 months, and it's been really exciting for us to not only meet there for Sunday services, but also to partner with that school. And so we've done initiatives like we raised money for children that needed like warm clothes for the fall. I actually came in and I said, hey, can we donate some jackets or something? And they said, middle school kids don't wear jackets. Those are so lame. So I I I was able to buy some hoodies that from the PTO and have those in the front office for kids that needed those. We were a part of their fall festival. I actually told like ghost stories and fall stories and stuff, which is kind of funny. But we did a lot of great outreach with them. They started a club that I'm the sponsor of, and so I meet with a group of students, four groups of students once a month, and get to know them and help them develop in their social skills. A lot of them had delays based on the pandemic and everything, so it's been neat getting to work with them. We met 20 families through the partnership that we have with the Family Resource Coordinator, and we're able to do Christmas presents for those families and food boxes. And so our neighborhood groups got behind that, and the kids were, putting the macaroni and cheese and, dried mashed potatoes and stuff in the boxes, and we delivered those to those individual families and got to meet them. And that's been really exciting and encouraging. We had a Christmas service, kind of like a lessons and carols, and we had the kids up there, and they were hilarious, singing their songs and everything. They were just a lot of fun. So that was a big event. We had a lot of success with that. Several of the faculty and staff from Madison Middle came to that service, and obviously a lot of families and new people to our community. So that was really neat, and that's kind of how we rounded out the last few months. So it's been a great time. We are really thankful for this partnership with you guys. We really feel like this is our mother church. I hope you all feel like we're the kid that went to college, and so here, we're back. I'm back for for Christmas break. So if I'd love to talk to you more about it. I wish we had more time to tell you, but I wanted to just give you an elevator pitch. Here's how it's going. So thank you all so much for the opportunity to be a part of this congregational meeting. Thanks.
Okay, and because of time, we just couldn't highlight everything. But the only thing I wish we did have time for, but we couldn't even if we wanted to, because Luke is home. I think that they've got COVID going on in their home, but is Luke Rakestraw and the new work of him being our pastor of justice here. What is going on in the area of justice and ministry through this church right now is just unbelievable. And the only thing I would say is I would love, if you want to know about that, and certainly if you want to get involved, just email Luke, let him take you to lunch, and just share all that the Lord is doing. This church is really becoming a fountain of justice and mercy to the community around us, and it's really exciting. Okay, the last thing we wanted to highlight here is the Good of the Bluegrass Conference. So if you're in the first service, I spoke a little bit about that. Let me double click on it a little bit more here. Again, like I said in my sermon, we have felt a need for a while. Got an email just this week. This isn't uncommon for me to say, intrigued by your church, would love to know your views on homosexuality and gender and all that stuff. This is becoming obviously an important discussion in our society, and unfortunately a very heated discussion in our society. And so we knew for a while that at some point we do need to say what we believe in a way that we hope is humble and charitable and winsome to the outside world, but also to us more so, to our community. And so that's what this conference is going to be. Like I said in my sermon, we were just getting nervous with the speakers that the wonderful speakers have a lot to say on the issue. But each speaker that we considered, we were nervous about for a different reason. And so it ended up landing on my plate, and I will be doing the speaking this year. That's not going to be a pattern. Starting next year, we'll get back to bringing in some speakers that we really love and want to introduce you to. The way we're framing it, sacred eros. An overlooked love is erotic love in our culture. In the church, we talk a lot about agape love and phileo, friendship love, and we neglect the God-ordained eros love. And during my sabbatical, I studied the works on sexuality outside of our tradition, most specifically John Paul's, Pope John Paul's revolutionary teachings on the theology of the body. And he he forms his entire sexual ethic, entire marriage, gender, all of that around eros. And so what I'm going to be doing is presenting that in a Protestant way. I've been able to filter through all the stuff that we would not agree with and get to the meat of that. And I believe he wrote Theology of the Body late 70s, early 80s, right as this revolution was starting to gain momentum. And I think it is a gift to church history. It's very profound. So I am going to take that and deliver that. The way I'm coming about it is less about getting into the debate and showing what we believe and trying to make a good case for what we believe. And in the specific issues, I will certainly hit all of the specific issues, transgenderism and all of that. I will certainly speak to that. But the way I'm approaching it is far less getting into the debate and showing where we stand, and just a much bigger, greater, holistic view of human sexuality. And so thus the title, Sacred Eros, where we are going to celebrate the glory of gender and sex. A couple things. Number one, I would covet your prayers for that. I say that all the time. I really mean it. I would love for our congregation to be praying for me in the coming weeks as I try to take up this topic that I know is so sensitive in our culture. Those talks will be recorded. I'm assuming those talks will end up going everywhere. And so I just would love for you to pray for my preparation and how I come about this. Particularly in the 2 weeks leading up to the conference, I'm not going to be preaching here. I'm just going to take 2 weeks and shut everything down and just study, pray, and write. And so in those 2 weeks leading up to the conference, if you could just write down to be praying for me in my studies and preparations. Second thing is, we want you at every conference. I really want you at this conference. I want everyone who calls TCPC home to be at this conference. Now, because the topic, we are expecting probably more interest from outside the community, maybe even from other churches. So I think it'll be a packed conference, but what's most important to me is that the people that God has entrusted to my pastoral care to be at this conference. And the reason for that is I don't want this just simply to be, a conference on a topic that's very provocative, and so you want to come and listen to it. I want this to be an equipping moment. I would like for, once this conference is over, and you've heard what we have to say, and then go back and re-listen to what we have to say, I would love for our church to be the most equipped church to enter into this cultural moment of our time with a robust biblical view, not just on what we believe, but how we go about enacting what we believe. I hope I will be able to demonstrate to you, not just in what I have to say, but even in how I deliver it, a healthy way for us to enter into this most important topic. So the number one thing is to be there. We do have registration. You can walk out here and register. If you're listening to the video, the QR code, maybe we can include that in the video. We'll have a slide with the QR code, or just go on our website. You know how to register. Please do that, though. That's really important, because Will and his team who run the conference, they really do need to have an idea of how many people we're going to be hosting. And it's not just, by the way, it's not just weighty talks on a sensitive matter. You got a lot of fun stuff to plan. We're going to be fellowshipping together. We're going to be feasting together. It's going to be a fun time. Big party at the Origin Hotel on Friday night for everybody. That's included. All that's included. So meals, fun, all that's included. So we're going to have fun together, and we're going to gather around this topic. I have had some questions about children, and I totally understand that question. I'm approaching this conference with what I can't have is I just can't have the constant children filter in mind if I'm going to do this right. I've got to be able to speak as if everybody there is able to handle what I have to say freely and process it and whatnot. So if you want my opinion, I can't tell you as parents what to do. In my opinion, if puberty would be the cutoff date. I mean, if your child has gone through puberty and eros, the Lord has introduced eros into their soul, it's time to have this discussion. If you're uncomfortable with that, I totally understand. But the reality of it is the world that we are living in now. Our teens are even 11, 12, maybe certainly when you get to 13. If you're a teenager, you got to be equipped with this. But I am going to speak very freely, and you can make that decision as parents. As far as child care, up to sixth grade. So there you go. So we understand it's a sensitive topic. And so we're offering care for kids all the way up to sixth grade. So you can come and there will be something for them, but I'll let you make that call as parents. The last thing I want to say is I do not want you to view this conference as the ability as your opportunity. By all means, invite your friends. We'd love for you to invite your friends. I think it would be a good opportunity for you to help bring a friend to help them hopefully hear a refreshing perspective on this. That being said, if you have a friend who is certainly, if they're struggling in this area, I'd love for them to come. If they're combative in this area, if they're militant in this area, if you have a friend or a family member that just completely disagrees with you and all this, this conference is not your time to prove them wrong, okay? Do not bring the friend to this conference to say, see, I told you so. That is not the spirit of this. This is for those who truly want to hear what the church believes in this area, and for those who are truly struggling in the area of sexuality. That's the nature of this. So please don't let this be a gotcha. For those in our world who would disagree with us, okay? I'm hopefully going to present it in such a way that those who do disagree with us at very least would leave listening to it thinking, okay, at least they're not crazy bigots. But that is not the point of this conference. Okay, sign up. There's another sign up out there. Children's. You can sign up for the conference, and you can sign up to volunteer in the children's ministries right out there in the narthex. There you go. All right, thanks for being here. We've got to get ready for our second service. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Any objections to getting out of here? All right, so ordered. Let me pray for us. Lord, thank you for our church. Thank you for what you're doing. It's just almost overwhelming. It's one of those times where you say that you will do more than we can ask or imagine, and it's just amazing when we get to see, oh, wow, we've prayed and we've worked, but you're doing more than we could ask or imagine. We pray that 2022 would exceed our imaginations as well. In Jesus' name, amen.